trees coming up in December, so please take any part in that. We do wine and dine, but for the most part, we don't receive any money from the government, city, county, state, or federal. So we're a small thing, so we're happy to have you here, but if you want to make a donation, that's great as well too. Our schedule here is available for everybody. We have activities here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, including healthy bones for osteoporosis, stretch bands for health and stretching and balance, Tai Chi course, yoga, Pilates, dance. So all those are on here as well. On the back of the schedule, all the other programs we have offered. We do 3 lunches in our programs every month. One in Chester, one in Long Valley, and one in Mount Olive, where we typically bring our speakers on health and well-being, seniors and caregivers. We provide a nice lunch. Our next one is 2 weeks? Monday, this Monday, in Chester. Okay, boy, coming up already. Okay, so an Alzheimer's speaker on Monday at the Chester Library at 12 o'clock. There are a few seats available. If you want to go to that, please stop by.
You have to sign up.
You have to call them. Yeah, not me, call them. Okay. We also now reaching the community to go out to senior housing in Chester at least once a month. We have a caregiver support group in Chester Library once a month as well too. Again, it's all on here. Any questions or concerns? My number's on the flyer as well too. We take about 65, 70 calls every month. People looking for assistance for food, housing, insurance, information. So anything that's related to seniors and caregiving of seniors, please give us a call. We're going to let you know each other. About 3 years ago, I was contacted by somebody called Cohen. And he asked me about Tai Chi. And I'd seen some Chinese movies, so I thought I knew what Tai Chi was. But he was nice enough to come into our library at lunch and learn to do several demonstrations. And he was so well received that we decided to give him a shot here. And that was almost 2 years ago. However, in the beginning, we were getting 1, 2, maybe on a good day, 3 people, including Stan, in the class. So it took a while to develop the class. And now every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, the room is filled with people that are taking Tai Chi to the point where they add center program. I wish Marty was here, one of our star people, I'm sure Sam will talk about him. Marty's a 94-year-old World War II B-26 bomber. We worked with Marty, kind of walked like this. He was a caregiver for his then 88-year-old wife who passed away 2 years ago. And I thought for sure at that point Marty was going to go away and do what old men do and just die. Marty decided at that point he was going to keep on going from that point on. 2 years, his wife was here, now he's going to take care of himself. So he's been here for almost 3 years now. He actually leads the veteran class. He's my wife stands for our people, and he's a really prime example of what this Tai Chi program can do for your health and well-being, mental as well as physical. So Stan has really developed the program. He's done a lot of other programs in the area. He's really kind of grown the program kind of single-handedly, so I really give a lot of credit to Stan. It's not a job for him, it really is a passion. He and I kind of share the passion for what we do. And I think that makes a difference. I mean, if you're doing something you're really passionate about, I think you see that today as the end of the page. So welcome, I'll be here in and out. Most of the morning I made you back up with some exercise with you. But I'm going to stand, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out on a rainy day. I'm still part of my federal interview and introduction. Just a couple of things. The only thing I'm going to ask at the end of the presentation, I'm going to ask you to fill out a survey just to let us know what you think, how you reacted, and just kind of give us feedback, your information, how you feel, what you think of what we're doing is really going to be beneficial in helping us move forward. So that's the only thing that I'm going to ask back. My name is Sam Cohen. I'm the founder and creative director of Pushing for Caring. Before we get involved in the exercises, I know you're all like a bit to get to. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how this whole Pushing for Caring came to be. For years, I've been self-employed since 1990, a lot of different careers. Most people, when I went to show them things about what it was that I did, they looked at me and said, "You should be a teacher." And I really didn't know what it was that I wanted to teach. That's a part of this movement. things like ping pong, badminton, frisbee, anything that had to do with reaching and grabbing and really a lot of timing. I was a runner for 20 some odd years when my knees said no more. Running was also one of the things that kind of kept me sane. I have what's called a racing mind. It's always churned. And the racing mind was calmed by running. So once I couldn't run, it's like, well, now what am I going to do? What's going to calm this churn? I got involved in a really militaristic kind of martial art for a couple of years. At 40 years old, it beat the heck out of me, but it also turned me into kind of the most fit that I was ever in. We used to have a man that would come and sit in the corner in that class, and he would just sit there, just look at us, and just shake his head, like, what are you guys up to? So that class went away, and about a year after that, I ran across this same man who came up to me on Main Street in Washington and said, I'm starting a Tai Chi class. You need to come to this. I looked at him and he said, why? And he looked at me and said, I'm telling you, you need to come. He ended up being my sensei for about 9.5 years. He was a pretty, I thought, honored to be studying under him. He was a 10th degree Taekwondo Grand Master who also suffered from post-traumatic stress. It was the studying of the martial arts that kept him sane. So I studied with him. I was really happy that it was supposed to be a group class. The majority of the time, say 90% of the time, it was one-on-one instruction. So I got private instruction from a man that had a tremendous amount to teach and was just looking for somebody to teach it to. So I kind of, I became a sponge. I wanted to learn it as much as I could from him. Of all the things I've ever done, Tai Chi is the one that really stuck. But I think the reason that it stuck, I love everything about it. I love the timing of the movement. I love the feel of how it moves, which is the most important thing. I love the coordination. I love the breathing. Most of all, I love what it's done for me. It's helped calm my mind. Not all the time, but when I practice, it calms. It's increased my range of motion. It's increased my coordination. Most of all, it's increased my balance, which really helps. It's helped me in more ways than I can count. When I first went to the first class that I had with my sensei, he said, I want you to take a forward step. I want you to shift your weight to one leg, take a step out with your opposite. I said, okay, well, I can run and do all these things. My balance is good. And I fell into the position. He looked at me, shook his head, and said, Stanley, you don't have a rat's chance, and you know what, of ever getting this right. Basically, he threw down the challenge. He said, okay, well, let me see what I can do with this. Then I was with him for 9.5 years. He ended up giving me certificates of accomplishment for internalizing, understanding, performing, and really getting to know the forms that he taught. And that's because, again, not from the martial arts side of Tai Chi, but from the movement side. It's like, again, my intuitiveness, my inner creativeness looked at this and said, it was a perfect fit. So, and it's kind of my love for alcohol. It's all of those things combined that I've used to take all of that knowledge, all the teaching that he had, suck the principles out of it, and create the programs that we have. So how did I get from there to the teaching part? A bunch of years back, I took a trip to Florida to see my mom. At the time she was an 80-year-old Jewish mother. So I went to her, she was walking crooked, having falls, range of motion wasn't good. I said, Mom, you know, I've been teaching this for years. Let me show you some Tai Chi. It will help you. So she was amicable to the idea. So I took her out into the living room and I said, Mom, also I was using the traditional method of instruction about shifting. I said, let's grasp the wild horse's mane. You know, reach up, grasp the mane, brush it, and bring it down. Let's do some waving hands like clouds. Imagine you're floating in the sky, waving your hands like clouds. And a few other things. I'm going to look at it and say, what are you talking about? I don't get this. I said, Mom, you need to do this. You keep saying you want to maintain your independence, you want to stay home, you don't want to have to you don't want to have to depend on other people. You want to keep home. So she looked at me and said, well, I don't get what you're saying. I said, Mom, you need to learn it. She said, again, figure a picture of a Jewish mother saying, my son, you say you want to help your mother, give your mother something she can do. It's like, okay, Mom tossed down a gauntlet, similar to what my sensei did. So I was down for a week. That was the first day. When I'm on her son board, she said, what are we going to do? Mom needs this. So I kind of played around with some things. Came back out like 2 days after, said, call your girlfriend over, Mom, we're going to try something. So they came over, and I said, okay, Mom and friends, pretend you're reaching up into an apple tree, grab an apple, and drop it in a basket. So we did that, and I said, now imagine you have the dust rag on your hand. Imagine you're dusting a table, lift it up, and look at the dust. And we did that with both hands. My mom looked back and said, why don't you tell me that to start with? Okay? So the light bulb went on, and it's like, okay, that kind of set me on this path, and it's like, okay, they need to learn this. They don't know. My mother also, I tend to forget some things that I say, but she was like, I don't want to learn the language, and I don't want to learn the culture. I just want to get from here to there better than I can now. She tried some other Tai Chi classes. The same thing. She couldn't understand what was being said. It just didn't resonate. So my job that she gave me was to be able to design programs or exercises that would resonate with her. So I've kind of dedicated my career to since then. I've been teaching programs in Warren County for the nutrition centers, community assisted living homes. The seniors have taught me how to teach them. I design exercises. I test them out on folks. I can see by their eyes, do they get it or do they not? Seeing how the movements work. And just refining testing. And it's turned into a really good program of both seated and standing work. Now, I talk about seniors all the time, but this isn't just for seniors, which are basically anyone that really wants to move better than they currently do, whether they're fully functional, mobile, or confined to a wheelchair. A couple examples. There's a 30-something-year-old man named Mark at the class that I teach at Gibson's Gym. He's paralyzed from his solar plexus down. He kind of wheeled himself into my class one day by accident. He thought that the room was empty because it was so quiet. And he came in, he looked at what we were doing, saw the upper body movements. Was moving, even if the standing exercises also involve upper body work as well. He did some of the upper body things, and you can see his eyes got big, like, this is harder than it looks. Right? So he's been coming to class a couple of months, and I asked him, why do you keep on coming back? And again, imagine he has no core, he has no core to stabilize him. He said doing upper body movements has helped balance his upper body. It's balanced his chest, it's balanced his shoulders, and it's given him the ability to increase his range of motion. Learning how to turn using his chest muscles to compensate for lack of core. There's a woman, she again in her 30s. She was a karate person for, I think she started when she was 4, she's 34 now. So she studied karate for 30 years. she went to a neurologist. The neurologist said, this is too intense. Your body is telling you it's breaking down. You can't keep up the intensity. But again, it was the martial art aspect that was keeping her, prior to that, was keeping her calm. She's been coming to my classes in Hackettstown. She said in classes, because of the breathing, the slowness, the calmness of the movements, it's one of the few times during the week that she does not feel a seizure coming on. Because it relaxes the whole brain, physical system. Medical term, right? Cool. I get lost. I get so wound up in what I'm saying. I don't know if you can tell what I love this stuff. We talked about Marty. Marty is quite the case. Again, when I first met him, he was 91. Again, as Jim said, he had this shuffle step, leaning forward. He came in a few times, black and blue and falls. We taught him, wanted to teach him what's called a rolling step, which is a nice heel first step, upright stance. We lined up 17 chairs and we walk a straight line. Every step, he had to touch a chair. Now, he has neuropathy in both feet and drop toe on one. So between the neuropathy and the toe, he was tripping, his balance was awful. We lined up 17 chairs. Here it is 3 years later, he's 94. You think, at that age, there'd be more decline. He now goes through a Tai Chi form with walking and turning, just occasionally having to touch a chair. So I asked him, Marty, what's changed? He gave me the answer that I was hoping for. I said, I still can't feel my feet. I said, well, what's going on? He's like, well, from practicing the balance work, I feel my hips, I feel my thighs, I feel my calves. I've learned to compensate by not having any feeling in my feet. So that's a success story. I love that. One of the biggest surprises that I've gotten out of all of this, and people find when they're doing the exercises, it's very mind-body control, very internal. It's all about yourself as a person and relating to that. Had a couple women, again, this is something, being a man, I would never think of, but a couple women came up and said, your class has done wonders for us. They said the reason they have both come from histories of abuse. And they said that coming to the class, focusing, internalizing it all, focusing on the movement, focusing on the calmness of the breathing, controlling movement, so it gave them feelings of self-control, control over their environment that they haven't felt in years. You see where caregivers could get a benefit from that. Is that feeling of control, that feeling of helplessness is huge in the caregiver field. So, see, I hope you don't mind what pauses that I take. So, how does all this relate to the caregiver field? I'm sure most of you hopefully are aware of the numbers. 10,000 people a day, 300,000 people in a month are turning senior. The numbers are huge. You'd say it's a little overwhelming and staggering. That's a lot of stress coming down the road. I've also talked to the seniors in the assisted living homes that I go to. I say, are you happy here? Most of them say, we'd rather be home. There's also a big push in Social Security, in the insurance industries, in the Medicare industry, for the aging in place movement. It costs a lot less for people to be cared for at home than in centers. I went to a meeting at the New Jersey Ombudsman, and he was saying that don't be surprised if in means the whole caregiver field is exploding. What I've heard about caregivers is they have a tremendous amount of stress. They don't have any time. They don't have time to go to a gym. They don't have time to go out. They're stuck at home in this, what am I going to do? Most caregivers, I shouldn't say most, I can't say that for a fact. Many caregivers end up needing care themselves because of the downside in their condition. For the people who say, I want to age in place, my question to that is, what are you doing to help yourself do that? You say you want to do it, what are you doing? They're kind of looking at all the exercises that you had. I said, well, I'm making an assumption here. The assumption is, if caregivers took better care of themselves, with some simple to do exercises, they'd be able to provide a better level of care. They wouldn't feel as overwhelmed. They'd feel a little calmer. That line of thinking. If the folks that were being cared for took a little bit better care of themselves, even simple things like being able to get some hand flexibility to button their own blouse, to put on their own shirt. Just simple little, call it lifestyle exercise. Again, not exercise from gyms, not lifting weights, fitness for everyday activity. That makes sense? So, the programs are really geared for caregivers to do on their own, or more specifically, with the folks that they're caring for. And it's just not like hours and hours and hours on end, 15 minutes a day. Instead of watching TV, 15 minutes of exercise, now we can do our other stuff. Simple things. All the exercises are simple, they're gentle. I think it's a win-win. It also helps cut down medical costs, visits to the doctor, all those other things. Anybody here ever done Tai Chi, or are you familiar with it? A little bit. Okay. It's been studied and practiced in China for thousands of years. The medical benefits in Asia are well known. It was kind of poo-pooed by the American or the Western Medical Society for years. That's starting to change. We're doing tons of studies. It's good for people with diabetes, it's good for people with Parkinson's, it's good for people with COPD, MS. All across the board, the medical benefits are starting to be well known. So that's, now, Chi for Caring is not a Tai Chi program, it's not a Qigong program. It has the elements, the principles of Tai Chi and Qigong as its base. And it's interesting, as simple as Tai Chi, or as simple as the exercises and the movements seem, there's actually a whole slew of principles that make up its base. We're going to talk about those. If you first start, anybody have any questions yet? No. Can you see my progression here? Okay, good. Am I boring you?
No.
Okay. I have to ask. Okay, focus. There's 13 principles. The movements, because they're done so slowly, take a lot of focus and a lot of concentration. The purpose of the focus is to eliminate distractions. It stills your racing mind. It stills all that chatter, all that what am I going to do kind of thoughts. The focus really helps you to connect to your movement. It helps you really connect to how your body moves, and it builds a real good mind-body control. Focus and concentration are involved, included in every single movement that we have. Centering. Centering is kind of the most obscure, it's the most difficult one to explain. It's more of a concept until you experience it. Centering is used in martial arts, yoga, tai chi, qigong, meditation. Basically, it's a method of taking negative thoughts, stress, anxiety, bringing it into yourself, processing it through breathing, mental exercise, and gentle physical exercise, reprocessing it and sending it back out as calm, positive energy. Due to the nature of our exercises, centering is inherent, again, in everything that we do. That's part of the reason that people tell me that they feel so calm after the exercises. Balance. Balance is huge. There's a couple of different kinds of balance. There's the physical balance, being able to lift a leg and stand, to be able to take a controlled step. There's also the balance of your entire body. Most people are most people have a master side, whether it's a left hand or a right. Most activities are done with one hand. The other hand kind of goes along for the ride, and most of the time you got a couple things that you normally do, but most of it is done with a single side. And all of our movements, what you do with one side, you mirror with the opposite side. Oftentimes, or depending on the exercise, one side, the other side, and then both sides in conjunction. It forces your mind to relate to parts of your body you normally don't use, and it increases your mobility, or evens your mobility on both sides. Weight shifting. Weight shifting is critical for fall prevention. Okay? Weight shifting starts with it's people to know where their center of gravity is. Center of gravity is like 2 inches below your navel, kind of right where your spine hits your hips. Weight shifting is involved again in taking a step, a shift of weight, so you're on a supporting leg, allowing you to take a step, whether it's forward, backwards, a side step, basically taking any movement from a standing position. Learning the other kind of centering also involve, we'll get to that in the exercises. Lifts and steps gets back to Marty and many other folks. Do any of you know folks that walk like this? Absolutely horrible wigglers. It's prime for a fall. You're shuffling feet, ready to be tripped over anything. Your head's down, looking at the floor, weight going in a down position. We teach people how to, again, shift weight and lead the heel in an upright. It's an upright walk, a heel first step with a raised foot. It also helps people with shuffle steps. It helps people, again, the older you get, the more the toe starts to drop. So the balance work, the balance walking and training forces people to learn how to balance and take safe steps. You kind of see how all these kind of tie in. They're all individual principles, but they relate to each other through everything. Waist turns. Usually when I ask somebody to turn, the first thing that they do is they'll lean with their shoulder, they'll pull themselves around. In our programs, turns come from your core. As an example, if I hold out my arms, if I do a shoulder turn, it torques. In our programs, with the arms out, we turn from the core. The only reason the shoulders move, they're being carried by the core. So all the turning exercises work on the waist and core. Speed of movement. This is what most people have a hard time with. In all these exercises, the slower you go, the harder you work. can't move this slow. They're the ones that I say you need to do it the most. Because it does, it slows down the brain, calms it down. It adds in your focus, it adds in your concentration, and it ties right into all the things that come after. Speed of movement. The slower you move, oh, I'm sorry, I just did speed. So, right. Timing and concentration. Oh, I'm concentrating that. And timing and concentration. All the movements are filled with patterns. All the patterns have timing that make the patterns work. So you've got the timing, the patterns, breathing. It all works on coordination. The coordination means a lot of focus, a lot of concentration. The patterns are also real good for people that have memory issues. It forces the brain to work, creates new pathways. And so, again, the slower you move, the more you concentrate, it does great things for, again, for brain, mind, and body coordination. The softness of joints and muscles. When you're doing exercise, I can see across the room if somebody's keeping themselves real stiff. Okay? The softer you make the muscles, the easier they can move, the easier they can go through the turns, the easier they can do any of the motions. Keeping the muscles soft, again, is a different type of a concentration. It's a different kind of a focus. When the muscles are soft, it also helps to create a softer approach, a softer attitude. The softer attitude results also in calmness. Breathing. It's amazing how many people hold their breath when they exercise. And anybody here do that? It's awful. Most people think they're taking a deep breath. When I ask them to take a breath, they take this deep breath, their chest puffs out, they get these big proud smiles on their face, until I tell them they're taking a shallow breath. We teach people diaphragmatic breathing, which helps them take that breath, it helps them take your diaphragm, pushes it down into your abdomen, and allows your lungs to expand. It's a much fuller, much calmer breath. As you gain experience with that, the slower breath you take in, the slower breath you exhale, allows you to slow all your movements down. Again, slow, soft, calm. Kind of getting the idea here? Okay. Smiling. Usually when asked people to smile when they're doing exercises, they laugh, which is pretty much the idea that I had. When you laugh, it relaxes you. The more relaxed you are, the softer the muscles get. Okay? Smiling also creates a softer approach, a softer attitude. It's almost impossible to think about smiling without at least cracking a little smirk. If you allow yourself to truly smile, it takes all that stress and dissipates it. And the last one is listening to your body. Your body will tell you what you can and can't do. What I find working with a lot of folks is they listen to their body, but they're hearing what they want to hear. Learning to listen to your body and see, are you really hearing what it's telling you? Meaning, are you distinguishing correctly between a pain and an ache? Most people tell me they can't do a certain thing. They say it hurts to do that. Well, is it an actual physical pain, or are you feeling a stretch that's a little bit uncomfortable, so you go back to not having that stretch? And an example that I love to give is a woman at Paragon. She was in her 80-something. When she first came into class, she came in with a death grip on her walker. She wasn't going to let go of that walker for anything. Shuffling in, sat down, put her hands in her lap. I said, okay, we're going to do this overhead stretch. She looked at me and said, I can't possibly do that. She was listening to her body, because her body, when she shoulders didn't want to go up, she immediately said, I can't get my hands overhead. I'm not going to do that at all. So I asked her, can you do this? She listened to her body again and said, oh, that I can do. A month went by, she got her hands up a little higher. A year went by, she was doing these big overhead circles that she thought she could never do. So she wasn't allowing herself to really listen to what she could do. She was spending too much time focusing on what she couldn't do. I find that huge across the entire range. So those are basically, so all the principles, and they seem like a lot of stuff. It's easier than it seems, but it's harder than it seems at the same time. Learning to relax, learning to be calm, learning to not be so concerned about what you can't do, that's a learned experience. But I do find most people, when they realize they can do something, it spurs them to want to do a little more. And the more they can do, or the more they do, the more they can do. Okay. I'm going to have a few different things, a couple of rules that we incorporate as well. One is called working to your weakest side. And again, as an example, and we're going across this all the time, somebody has a bad shoulder. So one shoulder goes here, the other arm is real good, it goes way up. This back shoulder kind of falls away. They don't push this side because they're so focused on this. They're not even attempting to use the side that's bad. Working to your weakest side means if this one comes here, bring the good one up, and when you go up, where the bad one stops, that's where the good one stops. So, and over time, good chance is the bad side is going to increase a bit. Because if you're always focusing on the good side, you're not trying to work out any kinks or build capabilities into the opposite side. The second rule is called the 70% rule. Again, if my 100% capability is here, back it off a bit and only go 70 or 80%. That's especially important for older folks. Because the older you are, the more prone you are. If you constantly push yourself 100%, you're going to get an injury, and that's going to backslide everything. If you work to the 70 or 80%, that 70 or 80% will continue to up its scale. So it's 60% this month, next week might be 70% of what you can do. So you're constantly improving, but not pushing yourself to the point of injury. So those two in conjunction, working to your weakest side and the 70%, is a real good way to work safely. I talked about breathing before. The diaphragmatic breathing. There's a couple things about that that are really good. Let me just say, it's a wonderful way to breathe. It's a really healthy way to breathe. It's called a complete breath. When you breathe into your chest and your chest puffs up, your lungs are constricted by your ribcage. They can only expand to a point of X. Chest breathing uses the top half of your lungs, uses about 40% of your lung capacity. Diaphragmatic breathing pushes the diaphragm down, allowing the lungs to expand, uses both halves of your lungs, uses about 80% of your lung capacity. So that not as much stale air maintains, you get a much fuller, more complete air exchange. There's a little row of lymph nodes that ride right behind your diaphragm. As the diaphragm rises up and down, it kind of does a little massage on those nodes. It allows you to take slow, controlled breaths, slow, controlled inhales, slow, controlled exhales. Can I get you all to try something? Okay, slide forward in your chair. Just don't slide off the edge. I'd like you to lean back against your chair. Place a hand on your chest and a hand stomach. Put the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth and take a breath in. Did you feel your chest rise? Maybe if you felt your chest rise, you're taking a breath into your chest. If you didn't feel your chest rise, did you feel your stomach rise? Okay? That's your diaphragm moving down. So, again, to let yourself exhale. Now this time, as you exhale, as soon as you feel your chest start to move, relax your chest. Do a little push out with your stomach muscle. And as you breathe in, just see if you can feel your stomach rise. And then exhale, pull your stomach in as you exhale. And let the air back out. And you feel your stomach back a little bit. Okay? That's the beginning of feeling a diaphragmatic breath. The best way to practice that, lying flat in bed or in a chair, and really work on keeping your chest relaxed, letting the diaphragm move. Okay? Make sense?
And nobody,
What's this?
what's the difference? How when you breathe, it's all here.
Well, if it's all up here, then it's not going down.
I thought that was just moving because everything's connected. The muscles are through here, moving because you're breathing.
Well, I guess you used to say, if you're feeling your chest expand, but nothing here, then your diaphragm isn't moving down.
You're not fully filling your lungs.
Yeah, the lungs aren't fully down.
So why are you doing that? Why are you breathing from up here, not down here?
Well, no, the idea is to learn to breathe low and to fill the diaphragm, to fill the lungs as the diaphragm goes down. So it fills first here. The last part to fill is the upper chest. We can talk about that. Right? I don't know how to answer your question other than you know that basically.
I was going to say that I practice when you do the teaching.
Yes.
And when the towers fell in New York, we had a nurse come and she was working with the towers with people who were injured or in trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And she came and she taught us deep breathing. And what it is, what he's saying is that when you inhale, you pretend that your stomach is like a balloon. So when you inhale, it goes out, and when you exhale, it goes in. And that way, you're really oxygenating the blood when you do from here, from the belly, not from the chest.
It's
And like what I say is it's filling a glass of water. So when you begin, you allow the belly to expand and it's bringing the breath to the way up.
yes.
So it's top. And so you're filling, you have to just fill a glass of water and then just.
Exactly. It's very much a learned procedure. Something if you've never tried it before, it might feel uncomfortable. It may not feel like it's doing anything. The more you practice it, the more you'll be able to get the sense of what I'm saying.
And what is it? What did you say it does for you again by breathing down here?
Okay, a couple of things. It uses more of your lung capacity. It uses 80% of your lungs versus 40% just using the top breath. It's a much fuller, much deeper, it's a much stronger, powerful oxygen exchange.
Diaphragm that you're exercising.
Yeah.
If you just use your chest, the muscles up here, the lung remains here. You're not using this section of it. If you drop the diaphragm, the lungs also drop, increasing that area, and more air comes in. That's what you're trying to say.
If you have a baby in the family, you have a baby, that's how babies breathe.
Exactly.
And for some reason, as we get older, we stop breathing that way.
Yeah, we want to learn that.
Part of that society, we're also tuck our tummies in all the time to look really fabulous.
Yes,
No, seriously, I mean, we're all
So you better off in the pot belly.
Thank you.
It's like having a huge engine, and I'm using all of it. Why would
to have a phenomenal truck, I'm thinking truck, or car, and go out on the highway and drive 20. Sometimes
And
one
my
way
question is,
without-
why do people naturally not want to read that way? That's better.
Because it's a relearned bad habit. As the young lady in the front said, after a while, we start learning to tuck our bellies in, and we hunch over at our desks, or and a lot of other things that cause us to make it easier to not use our full lungs. We get in a crazy society where we move so fast that we start breathing fast and we start doing things that really aren't necessarily the best for us.
Breathing fast, because you're not breathing right.
But singers learn that very early. Someone who's a professional singer knows exactly breathe in the diaphragm, and that's where his voice has to come from, not that that you get from most of your pop singers.
Shown this technique to some folks that have COPD, and their reaction is, I haven't taken that deep of a breath and I don't know how long. Because for people that have a lung disease, teaching them a better way to use the lungs that they have. Okay. You okay with that? Okay. So see the exercise. You can start with some exercise. Does anybody want to take a break?